Hey everyone, this is Fiddle Courage Raven, and I'm back with my recap and review of the Alienist season number 2, episode number 6. And it's titled Memento Mori, and only 2 more episodes are left. So, yeah, this series is going to come to an end next week, and I had fun watching the 2 episodes per week, but I'm kind of disappointed that this show isn't longer, and I really hope it comes back for a third season. Anyway, coming back to episode number 6, it opens with Dakota, not Dakota. It opens with Sara in the bathroom, and she has just finished hooking up with John. And there's tension between these two, and John wants to talk to Sara, and he's like, Sara, I want to be a man that's worthy of you. And Sara is like, John, I understand that you have feelings for me, but you're a married man, and it's very complicated. And yeah, these two need to talk more about the relationship and their feelings. Then the scene cuts to Libby after the fight she had with Sara last night. It is revealed that yes, she indeed was shot by Sara. However, I think the bullet only grazed her neck, so she's walking around and she's washing herself off, and she's clearly unhappy because, according to her, her baby was stolen, even though she's the one who kidnapped it. Anyway, moving on, we have another scene, and we have Pauline, taking Dr. Laszlo to watch Houdini, and we see Houdini escaping from a straitjacket, and I'm like, that kid has issues, and you shouldn't really be having him idolize someone like Houdini, because you just know that something's bad going to happen, and yep, it sure does. So, because in the next scene we see that the young boy is practicing magic tricks with rope, and I'm like, if I was Chrysler, I would have told him that, you know what, Pauline, you can practice magic tricks, but not with ropes. Use cards or something, because kids with ropes, that's dangerous. Then we have this very weird scene between Hearst and Violet, and this is where we get to know that Hearst is indeed Violet's actual dad, and he's not just her godfather. Apparently, he had her through an affair he had with a woman, and Violet realizes that rich men do tend to sleep around, and they have a wife, and they also have a side chick, and Violet doesn't want to be like that to when she's married to John. She wants to be a proper wife to John, and she basically doesn't like that John's running around with Sara. And hers just like, you know what, Violet, you don't have to worry about anything. As far as Sara's friendship with John is concerned, I'll see that it ends. And he ended up publishing an article about Sara, and it reads, unconventional lady detective recovers Spanish child. And I'm like, I don't think it's going to have the effect that you think it is, but yeah, what can I say? So Sarah's still thinking about Libby, and she asks John about what does he think? Where was Libby keeping the children? Like, where's the nursery? And John is like, Sarah, you saved the Spanish child. The case is closed. And Sarah is like, no, there's still something going on. And then Bitsy comes in, and Bitsy shows the article to Sarah, and yeah, it turns out that the article didn't damage Sarah's reputation. Other people are actually interested in working with her. But Sarah is like, Bitsy, I can't take any more cases because I'm still working on the Libby case. I need to find out where she kept the children. Then the scene moves to Libby going to meet Gugu Knox, and Gugu Knox is like, Libby, I don't like that you're sad. What do you want? And Libby is like, I need another kid. And Gugu Knox is like, you know what? Let's get you the kid that you have been eyeing for a very long time, and that makes Libby happy. Then we see Chrysler coming back to his institute, and the rest of the kids are playing outside. However, Pauline isn't there, and Chrysler is like, where is Pauline? So he runs into his office, and we see that Pauline ended up hanging himself, and I'm like, yep, that's what happens when you teach children magic rope tricks. And he calls out to Stevie. Stevie comes in, and he helps Chrysler take Pauline down, and fortunately, Pauline isn't dead. But it does give rise to a police investigation, especially because we know that Burns and Doyle and Marco are already against Chrysler. So this was an opportunity that they didn't want to miss. So the police is investigating the institution, and there's a risk that the institution will be closed down. While all of that's happening, Sarah and John decide to go to the abandoned building where they fought Libby last night. However, they aren't allowed to go in because the police officer is like, "You aren't on my list, even though I know that you're the one who helped rescue the baby." So Marcus comes out and Marcus tells them about what he knows, and Marcus is like, "Yeah, there's no nurseries inside, so even I'm not really sure where Libby was keeping the children, and I'll talk to you guys later." And this is where John is like, "You know what, there's probably something more to the building, because right next to that building is St. Ignatius boarding house." And he's like, "Gugu Knox owns this property, there has to be something here." So they both break in and they end up finding the nursery. There's dolls there, there's cradles, there's pictures of dead babies, and Sarah's like, "You know what, I need you to get the team here." So the team is here and everyone is investigating, and Sarah recognizes a brush that Libby stole from the Spanish house. So it turns out that yes, when Libby has set her eyes on a baby she wants to kidnap, she's basically targeting rich families, and she also ends up stealing certain items. So we get a scene between Pauline and Laszlo, and Laszlo basically apologizes to Pauline because he's blaming himself for not being there for Pauline because he was way too busy solving the case. And then Karen comes in and Karen tells Chrysler that he shouldn't be blaming himself because he helped the boy as much as he could, and it's just something that, yeah, Chrysler just has to accept that something bad happened, but it's not his fault. Sarah, John, and the rest are investigating the nursery that Libby created, and this is where they find two items, and these two items have a family crest that John kind of recognizes. However, he isn't sure about the names. While they're still in the nursery, we get a scene with Libby, and Libby, because she is basically, I guess, she's numb with pain, and there's a whole lot of hurt she's feeling because the baby was taken away from her. So she's ironing the clothes, and she ends up burning herself. And Gugu Knox is like, "Oh, come on, Libby, don't do that. I'm here for you. I'll find you a new child. It will be all right." And then Chrysler goes into his office, and Marco, Burns, and Doyle are already there. And Marco tells Chrysler that his license is being revoked. He is unable to practice his alienism until the case is settled and he can make an appeal. And basically, they shut Chrysler out of his institution, and he isn't happy about it. So he goes to Sarah, and Sarah's like, "You know what? Burns and the rest can't do this. You are helping so many children, and what happened to Pauline was something unfortunate. It was an accident. It's not your fault." And then there's also where Chrysler tells Sarah about Karen and how Karen has been supporting him throughout this entire mess. And Sarah is happy about Chrysler meeting Sarah. She also said something about being happy for John, but you can see that she still has feelings for John. And then we have this scene between Violet and John. And Violet basically tells John that, "Are you unhappy? I don't want to be a side piece to you. I want to be your wife." And we get to see that throughout her life, Violet is the kind of woman who hasn't been respected because I guess she was born out of an affair that Hearst had with a woman. So she didn't have any standing in the family, and that's why she wants to get married to John, because then she'll have a proper name to attach to her. And John is like, "You know what, Violet, I love you, and yeah, we'll settle our relationship later." And then we get to see that Libby is all ready, and Libby is happy because she's going out to kidnap a child. And then, yeah, we see Sarah and John going through all of the family photos in order to see where where that particular family crest is from. And then we have this creepy scene where Libby is looking at the child that she wants to kidnap, and we can see that the child that she wants to kidnap, the pram that the child is in, has the same family crest that was on the things that she had in the nursery. So yeah, it's a rich family that Libby wants to steal from, and we get to see that John and Sarah are able to identify the crest, and it's the Vanderbilt family, and they're quite rich. So yeah, that's Libby's next target. However, Sarah and John are quite late because the woman who's taking care about the Vanderbilt baby notices a child crying in the park, and she goes to help the child. And while all of that is happening, Libby is quickly able to kidnap that child, and yeah, another child has been stolen. And then we get a scene with Joanna, and Joanna is cleaning her father's bar, and Gugu Knox's men come in because they know that it was Joanna who brought Sara to Gugu Knox and who has the police force after Libby, and they basically threaten Joanna. However, before they can do anything else, Cyrus comes back and he's like, I need you to stay away from my daughter and get out. And yeah, I don't want anything to happen to Joanna. And also, with only 2 more episodes left, let's see how much more screen time Joanna gets, because if this show gets a season 3, I would like Joanna to have a bigger role in it, because through Joanna you can explore a whole lot of stuff, considering involving racism, sexism, and all of that stuff that's happening in this fictional world. So here's to hoping Joanna gets more screen time. Anyway, Sara is in her office and Mary comes in with the note, and yeah, the Vanderbilt baby has been kidnapped, and Mr. Vanderbilt has not ordered per se, but requested Sara to come and meet the family. And he's also requested Hearst and Burns to come in as well. So yeah, Vanderbilt, because he's very rich and he has a lot of connections, he wants to use everything in his power to find his grandchild. And while they're talking, he asks about Sara, and Mr. Burns is like, you know what? Sara is nothing. She's nothing more than a man in a corset. And I'm like, okay, Mr. Burns. So you don't want her getting involved, but Vanderbilt is like, you know what? She's already involved. And Sara comes in, and of course, Hearst and Vanderbilt doesn't like that. And this is where Sara shares with Vanderbilt that she found these items in the nursery, and that she knew that Libby was going to target the Vanderbilt family. And of course, Vanderbilt is very, very impressed by Sara, and he's like, Sara, I want you on the case. And Sara is like, you know what? I'm okay with handling the case. However, I have some conditions. So the first condition that she has is that she wants Chrysler to be pardoned, because Chrysler is a huge part of her investigation, and Vanderbilt is like, yeah, you get it. And then Sara is also like, Captain Burns will be working for me. And I'm like, yes, Sara, get your conditions in. And Vanderbilt is like, yeah, that's going to happen as well. So we see Chrysler, John, and Sara in the office. They're trying to figure out how they're going to find Libby and the new baby. And this is also where Sara tells Chrysler that he can resume his practice. And Chrysler is like, but still there's a risk of the institution being shut down, and I don't want that. And Sarah's like, you know what, Chrysler? You help me find this kidnapped baby, and I will make sure that Vanderbilt doesn't shut down the institution. And then, yeah, these three are all talking about who Libby is, what she wants, and John is like, we need something in order to identify her. And this is where Sara tells them about the time that she and Libby had a connection while they were having lunch. And we get a flashback where Libby connected with Sara because both of their fathers took their own lives. And Chrysler is like, yeah, that's the point. That's what we're going to use. Because Libby's father took his own life by hanging himself off the bridge, John is like, you know what? Such an incident should have been reported in the news, so I'm going to go in there and I'm going through the archives and find when that incident happened. Maybe we'll be able to identify Libby. And he asks Sara for help, and Sara's like, I'll be right there. Before she goes, she tells Chrysler about what she saw that night, that while Gugu Knox and Sara were being sexually intimate with each other, Gugu Knox ended up sucking on her breast, and that it felt very weird. And Chrysler is like, lactophilia, maybe. So that's something important that Chrysler is going to look into. And then he has a conversation with Karen, and Karen is like, you know what? I don't think it's some sort of fetish. I think that all of that sucking thing has to do with Libby presenting herself like that because she's enjoying all of those moments. So it's not basically a fetish per se. And there was also this funny scene where Karen ended up showing her ankle to Laszlo, and she's like, when you see my ankle, do you forget about the entire woman that ankle is attached to? And Chrysler was like, no. It was a funny interaction. And then Burns, because he's clearly unhappy about working under Sarah Howard, he's like, Hearst, I don't want to do this. And Hearst is like, Burns, go with the flow. Vanderbilt is more powerful than all of us, and you should look at this as an opportunity to show the people of New York that the police force is better than Sarah Howard. And while all of that's happening, Sara ends up finding this news piece in the archives, and its man hangs himself on Brooklyn Bridge. And this is where they discover that Libby's real name is Elizabeth Hunter, and that her mother is from Brooklyn, and that's probably where she's going to go next because she can't hide herself in New York anymore. We see Gugu Knox packing because Gugu Knox, Libby, and the kid are going to go somewhere, and Gugu Knox is jealous of all the attention that Libby is giving to the child, and you can see that when it comes to protecting the child or loving the child, Gugu Knox doesn't mean anything to Libby. And then Sarah goes to meet Mr. Vanderbilt, and she tells him about how Libby is making her way to Brooklyn and they need to go there. And Vanderbilt is like, you know what, you all do what you need to do. And then the episode ends with Libby and Gugu Knox on a rooftop. Other people are sleeping there as well. So she grabs the baby and she walks to the edge of the roof, and she's talking about how many brave people built that bridge, and as the bridge grew larger, the people who built it continued to feel smaller, and I guess that's why her father killed himself. I'm not really sure, but it's a very creepy scene. And yeah, that's where the episode ended. I will be doing a written review of episodes number 5 and 6. The link to that will be down in the comment section below as soon as the review goes up. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode down in the comment section below, and until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.